with Kav is we put this on little black girls at birth and pride. And then it went to, now what?
We are back with the one and only Gabrielle Union, whose new book, You Got Anything Stronger, leaves nothing on the table. We could talk for 200 days. You hit a lot of things. Colorism, talking with Kav about colorism. You tell the story how when she was born, people took off her mittens to see how dark the rims of her fingernails were, because that would tell potentially how dark her skin would be.
Yes.
And you saw people do this in the back of her ears.
Yes, yes. Invested in knowing just how black she was gonna be. For what? You gonna love her less? You gonna love her more?
How did it make you feel? I mean, we are two brown-skinned girls, shout out Beyonce. You know, when even when you hear that brown skin girl song and the messaging, the imagery, there's a sea change from when you and I were young. Like, girls our shade and darker were not seen on TV as much as we are, and the celebration of it. The sea change from when you were her age to now, has there been, when you still have people looking at her nail bed to see, or the back of the ears?
Not that I can tell. We're talking about it more. We're giving it the respective language. Yeah. We're not, well, we're still gaslighting, you know, black girls and saying that it's all in your mind. Yeah. And you can achieve your way out of colorism, you know, without acknowledging the reality. The reality, you know, and the reality that I realized with Kav is we put this on little black girls at birth.
Looking at the back of her ears and her nail bed.
Yes, right. The anti-blackness that we are putting on our little black girls at birth.
One of the other things you bring up in the book also is your surrogacy journey. And you talk about having to unpack it with your own father to get him to understand. I know in the first book you said you wondered if Kavya would love you as much, or that connection be there, because she didn't come physically from your body. What was it like explaining it to your dad, and how do you feel now?
Now I've kind of given up, you know, because he is a man of a certain age and generation, and it's just, the science is just not sciencing for him. And he loves Kav more than anything. But being so excited to share with my dad, who's been begging, asking my whole adult life, when is my grandchild coming? When is my grandchild coming? And to be able to finally tell my dad and have that first wave. I had the first wave of like just pure joy and excitement and pride. And then it went to, now what? And that's when it started to like the little breaks, you know. And the more I was trying to explain the science, the more I felt like he was being willfully, you know, obtuse. But it's like, that's also his personality. Like, he jokes with, like, you know, the ribbing. So I was like, is he joking with me? Like, just kind of like
because he said something like, you're not pregnant. Like,
yeah, because he's like looking at my stomach and he's like, well, if she's due like soon,
where is she?
Where is she? And having to explain, no, like, I wasn't able to carry her, but she is, you know, my egg, Dwayne's sperm, you know, embryo inside of a very kind woman who was bringing her to term. So are you going to let her see her kid after it's born?
And you write about this.
Yeah.
Was it hard when you were writing that down? Because it's like, when you're writing and you're recalling that moment, was it still stinging for you?
It's always going to sting. Yeah. It's always going to sting. You don't get those moments back.
Listen, you know, and I said at the top of the show, you've inspired me, you've made me feel empowered, and I'm a grown woman. Your impact on younger women is also worth noting. And I asked the team, I said, you know, who is the biggest Gabrielle Union fan? Let's find them. Listen, a young woman in Kenya reached out and wanted to share how you've impacted her life. Take a look.
I'm Ofense, and I'm a South African YouTuber living in Kenya right now. I've admired Gabrielle's work since Bring It On, and I fell mostly in love with Being Mary Jane because it came at a time when I really needed it, after going through the most with my divorce and having to rebuild my identity. I was besides myself when one of my besties actually bought me We're Gonna Need More Wine for my 30th birthday. And after reading the book, I was hit by one line in particular that I could relate to the most. It reads, I was caught in a dual consciousness, who I had to be when I was around my own people and who I had to be in high school. So I was born into post-apartheid South Africa, and I was the first generation of black kids that was allowed into white schools. So this line resonated with me so deeply because I had to code switch to fit in with both my white friends at school and with my black community at home, which was wild. And I love what she tells her younger self, that you've been fly from birth, you've been worthwhile, you've been valid, and I'm so sorry it took so long to figure it out. And I honestly would say the same to young Ofense too. Gabrielle, hello! I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your story in such a raw, honest and relatable manner, and for contributing to the collective healing of black women worldwide, including my own. I love you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That's why you lay it to bear.
Yeah.
And that's why we love you.